All right, today on The Explainer, we're going to dive into one of the most powerful speeches ever given, a speech that truly helped change an entire nation.
Now, you've almost certainly heard these words before, right? They're famous. But to really get why they mattered so much, why they had such an impact, we've got to take a step back in time and look at the world they landed in. So, let's start there. Let's try to understand the America that Martin Luther King Jr. grew up in. What exactly was the problem he dedicated his entire life to solving?
See, from the time he was a little kid, he saw unfairness everywhere. And it wasn't just, random meanness. It was an actual system with rules and laws, all designed to be unfair. And that system was called segregation. So what is segregation? Well, it was a whole set of official laws and, unwritten rules, all meant to force black and white people apart. Think separate schools, separate restaurants, even separate water fountains. The entire system was built on the terrible idea that black citizens were somehow less than white citizens.
Now, King was incredibly smart. I mean, he started college when he was only 15. He decided to follow in his father's footsteps and become a minister because he knew it would give him a platform, a way to use his amazing voice to get people organized and fight back against those unjust laws. Okay, so that raises a huge question, right? How do you fight a system like that? A system that isn't afraid to use violence to keep things the way they are? Well, King had a very specific and very powerful idea. The whole movement really caught fire with one single, incredibly brave act. A woman named Rosa Parks was on a bus in Montgomery, Alabama, and she just refused to give up her seat to a white person, which was the rule. That one moment of defiance sparked a huge organized protest. And guess who was chosen to lead it? A young Martin Luther King Jr. And what they did was amazing. For 381 days, that's more than a year, the entire black community in Montgomery refused to ride the city buses. Just imagine that. People walked for miles, they organized carpools, they did whatever it took because they would not support that unfair system. This powerful type of protest has a name. It's called a boycott. And a boycott is a really smart strategy. It's all about economics. See, by not buying bus tickets, the protesters were hitting the city right where it hurts, in the wallet. This proved that a large group of people, acting together peacefully, could put on some serious pressure and make the people in power finally pay attention. But King's most important rule, the absolute core of his strategy, was nonviolence. He made everyone promise not to use force, no matter what, even if they were attacked. And this was, frankly, a brilliant move. Because when the cameras showed peaceful protesters being met with violence, it showed the whole country and the world just how ugly segregation really was. And it worked. The Supreme Court eventually ruled that segregating buses was illegal. This victory was huge. It proved that peaceful protest wasn't just the right thing to do. It was a powerful way to actually change the law. But that victory in Montgomery, that was just the start. By 1963, the movement for equality was really picking up steam, and it was all building towards one massive, history-making moment. Okay, picture this. It's August 28th, 1963. 250,000 people. That's 250,000 people of all different races, coming from all over the country, all gathered together in Washington, D.C. They were there for the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom, and they had one goal: to send a message to the government that was so loud it couldn't be ignored. So King gets up to speak, right in front of the Lincoln Memorial, the monument to the president who freed the slaves. And he starts by pointing out a really powerful truth. He said that 100 years ago, America made a promise of freedom and equality to black Americans. But he said that promise was like a check that had bounced. The country hadn't delivered. And then something incredible happened. He was reading from his prepared speech, but partway through, he just pushed the papers aside. He started speaking completely from the heart, painting this incredible picture of what America could be. And that's when he started repeating those famous words, "I have a dream." And if you listen closely, his dream was about two things. First, the goal, a future where people are judged by their character, not their skin color, and where kids of all races could play together. But it was also about how to get there. He was crystal clear. The fight had to be done with dignity, with discipline, and absolutely without violence. The way they fought for the dream was just as important as the dream itself. So it was an absolutely unforgettable speech. But the big question is, did it actually do anything? Did it lead to real change? Let's take a look. The answer is a definite yes. The impact was enormous, and it happened fast. The march in that speech put so much pressure on the politicians in Washington. The very next year, in 1964, the Civil Rights Act was passed, which officially made segregation in public places illegal. And then a year after that, the Voting Rights Act became law, protecting the right to vote for all citizens. I mean, these weren't small changes, they were monumental.
And it wasn't just America that was paying attention. The whole world was watching. In 1964, at only 35 years old, Martin Luther King Jr. was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. He was the youngest person ever to get it at that time. And this was so much more than just an award for him. It was a powerful signal from the rest of the world that they believed in the movement and its peaceful approach.
So here we are today. That I Have a Dream speech is now seen as one of the greatest speeches in all of history. We celebrate King's life with a national holiday here in the US, and more importantly, his words are still inspiring people all over the globe who are fighting for a more fair and equal world.
And that really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? King articulated this powerful dream of what a truly equal society could be. And while those incredible laws were passed, the job isn't finished. The work he started is still going on. His dream isn't just something to read about in a history book. It's a goal that we're all, you and me, still working towards. And that leaves us with a pretty big question to think about. What does building a more equal world actually look like for us today?